pretty much like I write for loop in a new language. You cannot just put a design in one day. It will take some time. You have to practice again and again and again. Good. The next step I would like to show is screen design. Okay. UI design. Again, previously in one of the webinars, we have seen how to use Visio for the UI design, but how to do the UI design itself. What are the parameters that I need to look into the UI design? There are multiple tools. You can use Microsoft Word itself for screen design or Excel itself for screen design, right? There are a lot of ways to do screen designing. Again, Visio is one of the products that can be used for screen design, right? There are a lot of open source tools available. Using that also you can do one of the products, okay? If you go to Microsoft itself is providing different screen design tools. Again, you can say front page is a HTML designer, right? Same way, Excel can be used. There is one product called Infopath, okay? There is something called Infopath, right? If I click on this Infopath, this shows a single typical screen design one. The same thing can be done in Word, but this looks a slightly better way of designing the screens. Let me show you how to do a few screen designs. Based on that, you can develop the skills. Okay. Okay. Now, there is a, hope you are seeing the screen over here. Now, I take design a form. Okay. I click this one. Okay. A new blank form. Okay. The moment I make a new blank form, this is especially for screen designing and then using at a later point of time. So I'm making a blank form. It just appears over here, right? This is like a Word document. Exactly like a typical Word document. Okay. Now you can see this is a wallpaper. Now here I can see a lot of, there is something called controls, right? The moment I click a control, okay, I want to design a login form, right? If I want to design a login form, I have to draw the screen rather than screen drawing in Excel or anywhere. If you draw it here, it will be really good. Now I say login, okay. I say user login. Just hold on. Now I say user ID. This is the user ID label. Now I want to say there's a text box. I click this, a text box appears over here, right? Now you can expand or change it, right? Or you can move this box here and there to position, right? This is also possible. Now I go here, right click, borders and shading. Now I say make the borders a little bit thick. That is user ID, password, okay. Then I want to make another text box, right? Again, I want to align it. You can just do like this. Now I want to again expand the box, right click, borders and shading, right? Now I want to have two buttons in this, okay? Again, you want to center this heading, put that over there. I want to have two buttons. One is login, one is cancel. Now I can always go here. There is a push button, like button. Now there's a button, right click, button properties. I say login. Now I can have another button, just a click away. Another button, I click, button properties, cancel. Okay. Now I want to center these two buttons. You put it over there. This is one simple screen. Now I can save this. Okay. I can design a form. I can preview a form, right? Suppose I say try to do preview a form, right? I click on that. How the form will look like. This is how the form will look like. Now you can see literally, right? The moment I mouse over, you can literally see how whether I can enter data there, right? And when I move the mouse, it will show highlight the buttons. It will look as though it is a typical form that I can enter. This is one of the sleek tools that you have got. This is a typical design mode. This is a preview mode. There are two modes. One is a design mode, one is a preview mode. In the preview mode, it will function like an actual form, but nothing will happen, right? This software is called Infopath, Microsoft Office Infopath, okay? Infopath is used to do designing, okay? Screen designing, okay? This is one of the very useful tools that people can definitely look into. Now, whether you want to have a hyperlink, suppose I want to give forgot password, right? I want to have a hyperlink, right? Clear address is something, and then say the text I want to have as forgot password. I say click OK, right? Okay, abc.com, okay. Now I can always say forgot password, Control X, right? Look at this, the screen is now ready. So using Infopath, quickly you can draw information, okay? This is one screen. Now if I want to have another form, right? Now let me create a new form in design mode, right? I want to create a form where I have to add my employment details, okay? Employment details. This is a form in which I want to enter all the details. You might have already thought through what data you are going to input, right? How it has to be input, right? Whether it has to be input in this checkbox, in a radio button, in a list box, right? Now I can always say it should have a form like this, right? Now I'm going to show employer name, okay? This form should have an employer name. After that, from year, from month, another, suppose I want to say it should be a list box, okay? Again, there is a change in the list box as well as you can say drop down list box. Then from month, from year, okay? Another drop down list box. For each of these fields, you have to say the font, right? It will not show the shading and the borders in thin or thick always. So probably you may have to just mention that. The moment you say borders and shading, apply this, right? Again, you want to have color, right? Everything you can mention right here. Borders, I want to apply this. Okay. So you can have a better visual effect. Again, you want to have all these names to be capital letters or small letters or in different colors. You can do that. Same way, now I can cut and paste. Exactly like our Word document and other stuff. One beautiful thing is the cut and paste, okay? Now I'm going to align these two from year and then to year. So for the employer, I want to give this, then designation, okay? Designation I want to give as a text box. Okay, again for this, right click, borders and shading, right? After the designation, sorry, I think I have not selected that. After designation, I want to give role, because there is something called designation, there is something called role. So you may have to differentiate. Your designation may be assistant systems analyst, but you might have playing the role of a senior developer. So now I have given this. I want to have a button, right? Save, cancel. Save. I want to have one more button as cancel. See the speed. with simple cut and paste technique and exactly how to operate a Word document, we are in a position to do form design. Okay, this Infopath does not come free with MS Office. You have to buy separately. Okay, this is a special software. And then someone has asked, can we do data validation? For example, right click, right? Drop down list box properties. Okay, right now I have just drawn a list box. If you go to drop down list box properties, right, then there is something called data validation. Cannot be blank, right? It cannot be blank. Filter the list box. This list box should have only these values. For example, I want to have value 1998, then 1999, okay, 2000. Okay, I'm giving 3 values here. Apply. Okay. Now this is a design view. Now if I go to the preview form, look at this. It really looks like an application screen. It is really looking, I gave those values here and it appears over there, right? So you can verify whether your design is correct and it is looking neat, because that look and feel has a lot of effect. Within 5 minutes, we are able to design a very quick screen of how the employment details should look like, right? Now I am coming back to this. Below this, right? Employment history. Okay, I will be adding employment one by one, but at the bottom of the screen, pretty much like a grid, it should show me what all these information must come, right, in a grid. Now I'm saying somewhere you could see table, right? Yeah, repeating table. Now I say repeating table, number of columns, I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 7 columns. 7 columns it is going to show. Now I'm going to say name of the employer, from month, to month, from year, to year, designation, before that 2 month, 2 year, designation, role. Again, you can always have this, because only when you say these borders and shading, right, it will have a lot of effect to show, right? Again, I have made that only for that cell. You can always make it for the whole table. Okay, now I'm going to say this table should look like an Excel sheet, right? Now look at this. I want to add another field, right? You can always add one more row, right? And then it will look like Excel sheet. How this whole data will look on my screen, right? Again, you can resize. All those things are as simple as what you do in Excel or Word. So top portion of my screen should look like this. Bottom portion of my screen should look like this, right? I can always go and then do some font, right? What font you want to have, right? Again, what color you want to have. I can always say all these fonts must be in red. Look at this. At the top, all the fonts must be in, say, green, right? In one shot, you can quickly design a screen, right? This software is a very powerful software. Again, just drag the control, right click, properties, finished. It will create not a real screen, but a realistic looking screen, right? Now I have got this here. Again, in this repeating table, it says repeating table is a control name. Now, if you want to add more rows, again, you can add more rows. All these things are possible, because in the table properties, if you give, right, repeating table properties, right, display, advanced thing, how many rows you want, everywhere if you go, right, then you can really have a set of information, right? arranged in the way user will look on the screen. Whatever screen that we have got now, again there are not only just this tool. For screen designing, we have got Infopath. Even using Excel or Word can be used. There is something called Visio, right? There is something called Dreamweaver, right? Adobe is providing something called a Dreamweaver. You can have a HTML page design itself, right? There are something called wireframes, right? Look for this. Wireframes are the ones exactly the same way you can draw screen. Within an hour, I can draw 5 screens very quickly. Because unless you visualize how the system will look like, it is very difficult to do a lot more work on it. I can do a complex design, but end of the day, the user must feel it very comfortable to use. So the way your screen is organized is very important. Should I put the grid at the top, this at the bottom, or should I put this there? What is the way that I should do, right? Should I give a calendar over here or a list box over here, right? What is the kind of things that you are going to present to the user so that he or she feels attractive on looking at the screen? That is called UI design. So design definitely involves UI design. In fact, big companies like product companies, they spend hell a lot of time in UI because UI is the key. If the UI is really looking great, people will love it. So UI design, you cannot simply just drag and drop some controls and then do. It needs to be really good. It needs to be really made easy. Is this clear? So the next part in the design that we have seen today is listing out data for each module or activity. What is the input data? What is the output data? Then how to do a quick UI design. Any doubts in these areas? I am open to hearing doubts from you people. Okay, one question has come. Can we generate code out of this Infopath, right? Yes, there is something called, right? There is something called a publish, okay? This Infopath provides something called a publish. Using this, you can make a HTML form out of it, and that can be put into Microsoft SharePoint. You can access the form. So quickly it can generate the code. And here also, right click, right? Change binding source data, right? All these things are with respect to binding to a database, right? Which database I need to add. So everywhere, if you go and then right click, right? Show data source, something like that. And then if you go to this list box properties, right? You can always have advanced things. Lot of programmatic aspects are already available, right? Right? Now if I click data validation, right? On change, what should I do, right? For example, I make a change. If this field is equal to this value, what should be the message that should I give? Whether should I give an alert box, right? Or the screen itself should I give message? This particular tool provides that. Same way, wireframes also generate HTML and JavaScript code. Basic validations. Year cannot be less than today, something like that, right? Name cannot be blank. Simple validations and look and feel HTML, JavaScript code can be automatically generated using wireframes also. So UI design helps a lot in terms of getting the things just starting going and pleasing to the end users. Okay. One person has asked about what kind of percentage I should devote to design. Okay. Usually, right, people start putting somewhere between 10%, 8% and 10%. But ideally, design must have anywhere between 10 and 15% we must spend, right? If you spend less than 10%, if you spend more, absolutely no issue. But if you spend less than 10% on design, for suppose you have to develop for 10 days, if you don't design for at least 1 day, then definitely you will have a bad work at a later point of time. So minimum 10%. But again, you cannot have 50% on design itself, right? But somewhere between 10 and 15% is definitely acceptable. Any other doubt? Okay, one other person has asked about, is this design, whatever we have talked, same for all technologies? Yes, this person is correct. Design, right? It is independent of the programming language. Only even when you go to the class design or method design, whether you are going to do with Java or C# or Python or C++, class design, method design, UI design, database design, it is not like I am doing a database design to have a database in MySQL. I am going to do a database design to have a database in Oracle. If you make a database design, you can use Oracle or MySQL or MS SQL, right? So the design is independent of programming language, is independent of the database that you are using, right? So design is neutral. If you take SDLC, requirements is neutral, design is neutral, testing is neutral. Only coding depends upon technology and the programming language. All the other three phases, even without knowing a Java language, still you can do design, but it is only a concept. Any other question for the day? Okay, I don't receive any more questions with relevance to today's portion. I hope you enjoyed this session. We will continue this session tomorrow. We will talk about interface design tomorrow, right? We will talk about interface design, internal interfaces and external interfaces for any application tomorrow. Thanks a lot.